session after that you'd rather be taken out. It's very easy to edit things out, isn't it, Graham? I mean,
you can edit things out.
yes. So what stage are we at with the course now? Is this the last week?
5. Are we in week day 15?
Day 15. So you finish on Friday? No.
Next Wednesday.
Oh, I see. Oh, God, there's another. Right. Okay. Yeah. How are you feeling?
I'm tired.
A bit stressed.
How are the students? Yeah. What?
Very chatty.
They're adorable, aren't they? I don't know. There's something about the TP students. It's gives you an unrealistic impression of how nice students are sometimes. What levels are you teaching? Uh-huh. What nationalities have you got? Yeah. Oh, yeah? Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Great. Well, my name's Scott. What I'm going to do, we'll have a session which is basically activity focused. So we're going to do a number of activities with you as if you were students, yeah? And then we'll talk about them, and if we've got time, we'll do some more and talk about those, okay? So, to start with, guessing game. We've played this before, I'm sure you've done. Something I'm wearing, holding, carrying, have with me in the room. Yes, no questions, starting now.
Are you wearing a microphone?
I am wearing a microphone, but it's not that I'm thinking of. You've got to guess the mystery object. It's not my briefcase.
Is it on your body?
It's not on my body, no.
Is it in your pockets?
It's not in my pockets.
Is it on your feet?
It's not on my feet.
Can we see it?
Is that a request, or is that... You're talking about ability. You mean, are you able to see it at this present moment? No, you can't see it, but you will be able to when I show it to you.
Can it fit in the palm of your hand?
Yes? Good question.
Is it a pen?
It's not a pen.
Is it inside your briefcase?
It is inside my briefcase.
Is it a mobile phone?
It's not my mobile phone, no, which is inside my briefcase. Switched off.
Is it a folder?
It's not a folder, no. Try and get the material it's made of, perhaps. So.
Piece of paper?
It's not a piece of paper.
Is it leather?
It's not leather.
Metal?
It's metal.
Can you spend it in the shop?
You can't spend it in a shop, but I know what you're thinking of.
Can you open doors with it?
Pardon?
Can you open doors with it?
I doubt it. No. No, it's not, it's not a key.
Is it a cigarette lighter?
It's not a cigarette lighter.
Is that a container for something?
It's not a container, no. Not a container at all. It's made of metal.
Did you buy it at the stationery shop?
I wasn't, it was, no, you couldn't. In fact, I didn't buy it, I was given it.
Is it valuable?
Not really, no. It has sentimental value.
Does it hold?
Yes, you can wear it on your person.
Is it a watch?
Pardon?
Is it a watch?
It's not a watch, no. It's not a ring. Note the intonation. It's not a ring. It's not a bracelet, no. No. Please. I'm not the earring type. I'm just checking. I do have it. Oh, yes, there it is. It's a bit unusual, I must admit. You give in? No. It's not a necklace. It's not a cufflink, although it looks very similar.
Is it a tie clip?
It's very similar to a tie clip.
Is it a badge?
It's a badge. Well done. Now, if I was fair, I'd give it to you. Look, you can't actually, if you pass it around, it's a little, can you see what's written on it? What?
Tefl China?
Exactly. Tefl China. Do you want to ask me some questions about real questions now?
What do you mean to China?
Yes, in fact, this time last year, I was at a conference and they gave me that badge as part of the kind of conference packet. And that just happens to be still sitting in my briefcase.
What does the writing mean?
I have no idea. I imagine it means TEFL China. TEFL lesson, teaching English as a foreign language. I was talking about similar things I'm going to be talking about in this session, in fact, but to vast, many, many more people, and it was also being filmed. It was way, 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 way up in the north of China, near the Korean border. It's a place that doesn't even get a mention in the Lonely Planet Guide to China. So I'll ask people who've lived in China, a place called Tonghua, and they said, no, I've never heard of it. But it was fun getting there. Anyway, so that's the story that's the mystery object. I want you to do the same. Think of something that you've got on you, or you've got in your bag, or you're carrying, or you're wearing. In pairs, two, one group of three, take turns. Yes, no questions. And when you've guessed, then tell the story about the object, where you got it, how much you paid for it, was it a gift, that kind of thing. Same kind of, exactly the same as we do with me. Okay, I'll give you about 3 or 4 minutes on that. Off you go.
I was given it. No, it's
I did this morning.
It is eaten, it's not liquid. Not here. Is it at your apartment? Something else.
Ask him a few questions about his sunglasses to get. Ask him if it,
Do you use it every day? Do they work on is it on your back? Are they expensive? Is it a painting?
No, they are.
Is it an object that
have you done? Both ways. Perfect. Okay. Okay. Sorry. If you haven't guessed yet, tell. So, what's your name? Katie. What did you guess of? What's your name? Camille. Camille.
Her photographs and her work
Oh, yeah. Of what?
that she carries in her
Uh-huh.
friends and her family.
Sweet. And where is her family?
In America.
Uh-huh. And how long did it take you to guess that? What was the key question you
I
asked?
got onto paper,
Uh-huh.
address books,
Uh-huh.
diaries,
Uh-huh.
she said there's a type of paper.
Uh-huh.
And we got down to
Good.
those.
Well done. Camille, what did you find out about Katie? What did you guess? Ah. Can we see it?
You'll have to edit.
Oh, that's interesting. That's original. That is original, actually. The number of times I've done this activity and nobody's actually thought, because it is something that you're sort of wearing, isn't it? Is it a disposable tattoo? It's a
No, it's a
a permanent one. What did you find out about it, Camille? Well, how did you find that out?
Well, I asked her if it was, are you wearing it?
Uh-huh.
No, it says on you.
Uh-huh.
And so
Uh-huh.
There's nothing else I'm
I didn't see you going through her clothes. So, go on, tell, where is it? Oh, sweet. What does it represent? It's a kind of...
It's a Icelandic direction compass.
Oh, yeah.
It's supposed to direct you in your life.
Uh-huh.
From the Vikings, they used to
Oh,
put
yeah.
them on their forehead.
Uh-huh.
So,
And how did you discover this pattern, Katie? Or was it suggested to you by the...
I just wanted something that meant something
Mhm.
that was going to help me in some way in
mhm.
my life. So I
Has-
looked on the internet and
Uh-huh. Oh,
read
yeah.
some books and
Uh-huh.
found it and liked it. So.
How long ago was this?
Actually, just this year.
Oh, really?
I've had it about a month now.
Uh-huh. So it's working, you think, for
I
you?
think it is actually. No, I really do.
Good, thanks a lot. Okay, just thinking back on that activity, what level could you do it with? I mean, thinking in terms of students. Yeah, I mean, how low? Could you do it with the elementaries that you've got now? Mm-hmm. What might the problem be? Yeah, I think so. The vocabulary, I think. The structure, when you think about it, is quite simple. I mean, it's all present tense. It's all is it, can you, etc. You might want to give them, though, some of those questions. And so what I would do, the questions that you were asking me at the beginning about the badge, I'll get some of those ones up onto the board. Is it made of, ... Can you, with it, etc. So they've got those available. Even at relatively high levels, they may have trouble formulating those questions. But once that's out of the way, yeah, I mean, it's not a problem. The problem is going to be the vocabulary, because you can't predict that they're going to use the word tattoo or Icelandic or, you know. What do you do about that?
Well, they'll only choose things that...
I suppose, yeah. That's true. They could, well, if they have any sense, they'll limit themselves to things that they can talk about.
You could start with just an item of clothing
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah, and you could...
and it's got a...
Yeah, you could predict to a certain extent. So you could run through some materials, you could run through some items of clothing, some colours, etc. If they needed that. It starts to make the thing a bit top-heavy as an activity, because you have to do so much pre-teaching that it's hard, takes a bit of the fun out of it. The other thing is, as a teacher, you can just be scooting around. If the class is not too big, supplying the vocabulary as it comes up, especially if you speak the students' mother tongue, you can act as a kind of dictionary. But I know that is the problem with it, I think. I've got a friend here who teaches German, and he does things like that with elementary classes, but he has them in groups of 3. So 2 people are playing the game. When they don't know the word, they just substitute their Spanish. Okay, so they'll use the Spanish word, but they try to play the game in German. The third person notes down all the words in Spanish that come up, and then after the game's over, they look them up in the dictionary. So the momentum of the game's not broken. They're allowed to go in and out of their 2 languages, but there is a kind of teaching point at the end where they can then get the dictionaries out and consult, and then they take it, then the other 2 do it, and the other one takes the sort of turn of noting down the words, and it seems to work quite well. Of course, when you get to telling the story of the object, what are you into then, grammar-wise? Exactly. When did you get your tattoo? Where did you find it? Etc. How long have you had it? By definition, you're into the past with stories. So that sort of restricts the level again a bit. But that, in fact, is the most interesting part of the activity, really. I mean, it's nice that Kate's got a tattoo, but it's much more interesting to know why, where, when, how long, etc. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to dictate 5 sentences, yeah? So if you could write these down one by one. Okay, number 1. I've been teaching for ages. I've been teaching for ages. Number 2. I first came to Spain when I was 35. I first came to Spain when I was 35. Okay. Number 3. Before that, I lived in Thailand. Before that, I lived in Thailand. Number 4. This time last year, I was in China. This time last year, I was in China. And number 5, I once worked as a lumberjack. What's a lumberjack? What's a lumberjack?
A woodcutter.
Yeah, is that what you call it? A woodcutter, yeah, or tree feller or somewhere, whatever, anyway. Okay, 5 sentences. It's very important at this stage to check that the students have got the same 5 sentences and they've got no problems of understanding. So, sorry, what's your name?
Dave.
Dave, can you read out the sentences?
Number 1, I've been teaching for ages.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, I first came to Spain when I was 35.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, before that I lived in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, this time last year I was in China.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, I once worked as a lumberjack.
Great, okay, and we can check the spelling of lumberjack and any questions about... and if you wanted to be really sure, you get the students, somebody to put them up on the board. But it's important that they've got the same sentences. Okay, 5 sentences about me. Some of them are true, some of them are false. Now, you don't know anything about me, or very little at this stage, but just have a guess, yeah? So write T or F against the sentence that you think is true or false. Do this individually, and then we'll check. I'll give you a clue. Only one of them is false. Okay, just have a check with your neighbour and think, see if you can persuade your neighbour to change their opinion or see if you agree.
Yeah, I changed it.
Okay, let's see what you got then. So number 1, I've been teaching for ages. True or false? No, I just started last week, I promise you. I did this course last month. No, it's true. More's the pity. Okay, number 2. I first came to Spain when I was 35. Did you think? False. What? No, I'm asking why. Why do you think? What's your name?
Kirsty.
Kirsty, what do you think, Kirsty?
Well, I thought...
By elimination? Or no?
Well, actually, I said it was true.
Oh.
So I don't know if I can help you there.
Who said it was? Oh, Camille. That's what I was fishing for. It's true. It's true. Okay, before that, I lived in Thailand.
True.
You think? You sound convinced, Dave. Why? You put false. Why? What's your name?
Alta.
Alta. How do you spell that?
A-L-T-A.
Alta. Why do you think it's false?
Because I don't know. It could be.
It could be. Well, what about this time last year I was in China? True. Now, you know that's true because I told you. Okay, what about the last one then? This has to be false. Lise? You think it's true?
I thought the second one was false.
Uh-huh.
Now he's finding out what's false. I'm false is true.
You think it's true? Yeah, I think I've got the kind of...
That's
Kirsty? The shirt? It's my lumberjack shirt. My sister would be very offended. She sent me this shirt as a Christmas present. It's true. So the one that's false is...
Spain.
No, Thailand. Never worked in Thailand. I worked in Egypt before I came here, but not Thailand. So not bad. So any questions you want to ask me about those sentences then before we move on?
When did you work as a lumberjack?
They always ask about the lumber. When I was, this was in New Zealand, where I'm from, between jobs basically. And a friend of me and a friend were sort of stuck in a village, a town in southern New Zealand without a job in the middle of winter in a pub. And this bloke wearing a shirt not dissimilar from this came over and said, "Do you know anything about chainsaws?" I said, "No." "Do you want to work on a lumberjack gang?" I said, "Well, they didn't call it lumberjack gangs. There's a tree felling gang." I said, "Oh, well, why not? We've got no alternative." So I did it for 3 months. It was the hardest job I've ever done and the most dangerous. But it had its charms because it was in the middle of winter in the forest, the snow, the silence, apart from the roaring of the chainsaws. That makes a good story. Anything else before we move on? Okay, guess what? You're going to do the same activity. But before we do, if you look at those 5 sentences, each one has got a time expression cunningly embedded in it. Like, for example, number 1, for ages. Yeah? So can you underline for ages and then underline the other time expression or expressions in the other 4 sentences? And if you're in an advanced class, I'd get you to classify them grammatically, but I'm not going to put you through that. not on camera. So what have you got? Alta, after 4 ages, what's the one at number 2?
First came.
Yes, okay, first, okay, anything else there?
When.
Yeah, that whole clause, in fact, is well, when I was 35, you could say, well, that is a time expression. It's an adverbial clause of time. So there's 2 there, exactly. And the next one, Kirsty?
Before that?
Mm-hmm. And the next one, sorry, what's your name? Ian.
Last year.
Yeah, well, the whole expression, I think, no? This time last year. What can you slot into the year position there? This time last, what other words could you put there?
Week.
That's last week. Can you put day? No. What about the last position? What other words could you put there? This time, something year. This time, next year, yeah? This time next month, this time next week, and so on. Okay. And finally, what's the time expression in the last one? Once. Meaning? Exactly. One point in the past, exactly. One undefined point in the past. Okay. And we could do a little bit more on those time expressions as if we were a class, but we won't. What I want you to do now is just choose 2 or 3 different ones, yeah, and write a true sentence about yourself. Yeah, but you can change items in the slot. So, for example, when I was 35, if you're not yet 35, you're allowed to change that to 6. And this time last year, you can change to this time last month, or this time next month, next week, or whatever, yeah? So you can change the sorts, but try and keep the pattern the same, yeah? True sentences, not false, true and false, just 2 or 3 true sentences, and don't write down anything that you wouldn't be prepared to share. You can see what's coming. Teacher be doing at this point? And God, you're well trained. Exactly. And also being available to supply, again, we've got problems with vocabulary. And and also just checking the students are on task, doing what you want. Now, there's an alternative too. I could have got you to write true and false, and we could have played that, but I'm just taking it a little bit easier because that adds a certain complication, but a fun one. Okay, so does somebody mind, Kirsty, give me a sentence, one of your sentences.
This time last year I was in Japan.
Working, really, teaching. Oh, you're a teacher. Teaching English. Whereabouts?
I didn't really have a home. I was traveling.
Oh, yeah.
I was based in Chicago.
Which island is that? Was
The
that?
one in the Osaka Bay.
How long were you there? In Japan?
Just over 2.5 years.
Really? And you were traveling around teaching English?
Yeah, I wasn't teaching for.
A bit. Went for language school. And adults or children? Had you had experience teaching before? Where are you from? I thought so. Had you had experience teaching in New Zealand?
Not ESL teaching.
Children, I see. Good. Did you learn any Japanese?
A little bit.
Nice place. I've never been, actually.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Good. Terrific. Okay. Thank you, Kirsty. What's your name?
Greta.
Greta. Give us a sentence, Greta.
This time last year was in Barcelona.
You were in Barcelona and you're back again, or have you been here continuously?
After that, I lived in Germany.
Oh, really? Well, where are you from?
I'm from Italy.
From Italy? You travelled around. So what were you doing in Barcelona this time last year?
I was working.
And you came back. You liked it so much. Whereabouts in Italy are you from?
Near Milan.
Is it similar, Barcelona to Milan? Second city?
Yeah, very nice.
Football obsessed.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Are you going to stay here, do you think? Good. Excellent. Thank you, Greta. Okay, got the idea. So what I'd like you to do is in sort of bigger groups now, say 3, 3, 2, and 3. Or no, I don't get 3 and 2 because you've worked as a... Can you take turns to read one of your sentences to your colleagues, and then the others ask questions about it, just as I did to Kirsty or to Greta. You had to pull out more of the story, okay? So I'll give you, I'm gonna have to cut you short doing this, but just to get the feel of it, yeah? So off you go. 3, 3, 3 and 2. And you've got text, you've got student-generated text which you can use for subsequent language work, language study, and so on. Okay, writing. Let's finish with another activity, which is a writing activity. Yeah. So remember my trip to China. Well, what I'm going to do, what I want you to do, is to write a text, an account of my trip to China, beginning this time last year. Scott went to China. Okay? So you're going to write a passage, a text about my trip to China. How are you going to get the information? You're going to ask me. Yeah? So, but not ask me in speaking, ask me by writing questions to which I will reply in writing on these cunningly prepared pieces of paper. So what I'll do, put you into 3 groups, 1, 2, 3, yeah? 1 set of question papers, blank papers for each group. Write the question on the paper, yeah? And one of the group, bring it up to me, I'll write the answer, and so on, yeah? Until you've got enough questions to be able to write the text. Okay, so 1 set of papers to you, 1 to you, 1 to you. And if there is any mistakes in the questions, of course, I will send the paper back. Okay? So that's the idea. Okay? Off you go.